And to record it, so this we have it, for afterwards, Connor. So,
That's perfect, Dennis. Yeah,
yeah.
and I can send it out to those that didn't attend this evening as well.
Yeah.
The stage is a bit of an interest. That's lovely, Dennis.
Okay, we've lost. So, look, as people come, but I'm going to make a start. So just before that, what clubs are you with? Valletta, what club are you with?
I am with the Melbourne Bishops Down in Cork.
I know it well. I was born and reared in the Mardyke.
Oh, wow. Oh, very good.
Yeah. Enda, would you like to come into the... Enda, you can speak there if you want.
Yeah, I can come in. Sorry, I just
Excellent.
didn't click I just didn't click the button.
Excellent. Okay. And Margaret, what club are you with?
Hi, Dennis. I'm Rahini, so we're in Dublin.
Okay. And Enda, what are you with?
With Kaika in Dublin.
Okay. So because other people come in, but that'll be, because with a smaller group, it'll be more interactive. So I'm going to throw up a presentation, as I say, I prepared earlier. I'm deputizing for Patricia, who just couldn't, for personal reasons, this evening do it. So I'm the chief executive of 203. One of the first. So let me just, I suppose, start off. We've had a few introductions, and as other people come in, we'll add them into it. Talk a bit about, obviously, a bit about particularly badminton's track record in the last round, before then going into, well, how do you prepare an application? What are the criteria? What are the documentation? And Q&A. And feel free along the way to raise your hand and make it more interactive, or put something into the chat function. Valletta.
Thank you very much. Can I just ask, Dennis, will the slides be available?
Of course.
Okay, so I don't have to.
No, you don't.
That's great. Thank you very much.
You'll get the slides and the recording.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So Connor will just with that to you. So look, 203, we do quite a few things in addition to grant services, of which there are work and sports capital is a big part of. And we're working now, we've worked with a lot of clubs since the 2014 round. We've been active every round. In the last round, we were involved with 16 successful applications out of 16 projects we work with. And this current round, in addition to all the webinars that we're doing, we're also working now with 47 different clubs. So the last round, Badminton asked for 259,000 and change and got 185. So it was a reasonable return for how much was asked for. And by county, looks there like Cork mightn't have asked for anything last time around, because this is where the money in Badminton went by county.
Oh, hopefully we'll rectify it this time.
Yes. But more interestingly, there was a total of 10 applications the last time, 5 for equipment and capital and 5 for equipment only. And all 10 got money, by the way. So there was didn't get 100% of that. We got a high proportion. There's the value, so mostly equipment and capital, and then some equipment only. 1 regional or non-local, the rest were local. And you can see there the non-local was significant enough. So the other 9 applications shared 104,000. But if you then look at so 10 clubs applied and 10 got money, but in tennis, 87 clubs applied and they got 4.6 million. And Connor tells me that in the Republic of Ireland, there's some 270 badminton clubs. So the upside potential for badminton is enormous. clubs have to start applying. So we'll come back to that. But you can see if they apply, the last time round, all 10 got money. And
Is there a
tennis,
breakdown? Is there a breakdown of, or you might come to this, Dennis? Is there a breakdown of what's the kind of, what was applied for, and that, like, is it like materials, or is it
it was mainly, well, as I said, if we go back here, half of the applications were equipment only, and the other half were equipment and capital. Now, I didn't go into the, because they might, like,
yeah, so it's a bit of both. Okay.
specifics, a bit of both. Okay.
Yeah.
But my main point I want to say is that from a Badminton Ireland point of view, that's a very low application rate.
Yeah.
You know, and don't ask, don't get. So we then look at, just going to put it up here. Yeah. So just, I suppose, talk about the sports capital and equipment. And look, it's a key part of how the government fund sports, and they want to develop, you know, quality, accessible, safe, well-designed, suitable facilities in appropriate locations. They want to prioritize the needs of disadvantaged areas and groups. They want to increase female participation, and they want to encourage sharing of sports facilities. And obviously, sports clubs can apply, community groups can apply, national governing bodies can apply, local authorities can apply, and education institutions can apply, but only jointly with sports clubs or organizations. So obviously the first, and when you go on preparing application, this is the Oscar portal. And the first thing you need to, and you get very familiar with this, the first thing you need to do is register. So if you haven't already registered, you need to register by the 25th of August. To register, you need a tax ID or clearance number for your club. So if you haven't got one of those, you need to get one from revenue. You cannot register without it, because revenue are basically assessing that you are a non-profit, you know, so that the sports capital unit doesn't have to inquire about that.
Sorry, Dennis, I'm just wondering on that, is that the reason as well not many badminton clubs then submitted claims because you need a tax clearance, or would you?
Well, I say this is tax free. Well, yeah, it could be. That's a good, but it's a very easy thing for a sports club to do. You contact revenue. Revenue asks you a few questions. You send them in some information, and then they then give you approved sports body status, and they give you a tax ID, which says that you are, any income you receive that's in excess of your costs is, will not be subject to corporation tax. So
Okay.
it's a relatively easy thing to get, but that could be, I don't know. That's a good, I don't know why it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to be honest, as well, like in terms of any of the local sport partnership grants that come out as well, it's one of the items that they do ask for as well. So, if you haven't got one for your club, you should absolutely be getting one, because in order to avail of those grants going forward, you'll definitely need one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So having registered, you then see this, your dashboard on Oscar. The basic information will have already been put in order to register, and you click on the purple button here, and then you create a draft application, which then pops over here in the orange area, and that's where you create your application. So it's an old system. It's a bit clunky, but it works. Now, for a capital project, you can get a grant of up to 200,000. For equipment, up to 70,000. But if part of your equipment is an item of maintenance equipment, this is very common, say for rowing equipment mowers, right? There's a limit of 40, and if it's a regional grant, it can be up to 500,000. And then how much match funding you have to put in order to apply for the grant you're applying for. It's a minimum of 5%, but in some cases it might be sensible to put in a bit more because of the criteria of the score it'll give you. So for capital items, I suppose, let's say relevant to say badminton, obviously it's not natural, but an artificial surface, say inside in a hall, pitch drainage irrigation wouldn't matter, drainage, flood lighting, LED, timing equipment maybe. So, but the building or refurbishment of dressing rooms, building or refurbishment of sports halls, gyms, so a whole hall, modification to improve access, modification to reduce energy consumption. So there's a list of items, and there can be other items as long as they're sporting in nature. In equipment, and this is particularly, I suppose, where you draw attention to non-personal sports equipment, right? And maintenance. So I'm understanding from talking to Connor that your shuttlecocks costs a lot of money, and you go through a lot of them. And a typical club might go through 1,500 euros worth in a year. Is that correct?
Times 3, yeah.
Yeah, more. It's more, and they are kind of doubled in the last while as well. So,
Yeah.
So you can apply for and I would apply for as many shuttlecocks as you need for a 2-year period. That's very simple. I also understand you've got your stands, if you like, where you stand the poles to stand
the poles and the nets, yeah.
So they're all non-personal sports equipment as well. So you shouldn't be using up your members' subscriptions on those items. So there's a few to start with: poles, nets, and shuttlecocks. You could
The other
also,
one we look at in Baldoyle is the mats.
Yeah.
Because the mats can be quite expensive.
Yeah, perfect. Mats, absolutely perfect. All those are non-personal sports equipment.
Yeah.
Or you could even have a stock of if you wanted, say, to encourage people to try the sport without having to buy a racket, a stock of rackets. So equipment, very easy to apply for. You don't, so non-personal sports equipment, and those are particularly, I think there's other ones, but those are particularly applicable to badminton. Every badminton club should be applying for shuttlecocks, for stands, for nets, and perhaps for mats. That's relevant. What's not eligible for capital are things like non-ED lightings, passenger vehicles, viewing stands, unfortunately, are not. And there's a list there. Not a lot may apply to but there is a list of things that they don't. And it's important not to just go for something that they don't. So viewing stands, as in particular, I know people increasingly are looking to have that, but unfortunately, sports capital is not seeking to fund those, or playground, play equipment, and so on. So one of the things you're trying to do in your application is get a good score. We know what the criteria for the next round are going to be, but we don't know what the scoring mechanism to be used will be, except they've said it will be similar to the one from the previous round. So the items 1 to 6 were criteria in the previous round. Items 7 and 8 are new criteria. So and you can see the first 3 are really about who your members are. increasing participation, improving performance, sharing facilities, level of socioeconomic disadvantage in your area, technical merits, level of own. The next three are more, let's say, they are what they are, how much you've got in the last 10 years, and then environmental initiatives and population growth. Now, for equipment, some of this won't even be, it's much simpler, but this is the full set of criteria. And when you click on Oscar to say you're going for equipment, it shortens what you have to do.
Dennis, I don't quite follow the number system on the right. Could you just explain that to me? Just
okay.
What does the 60 mean on the right?
60 is that's the number of points you can get under that criteria. It's up to 60
so let's
points
say let's say one of our clubs, right? Like, what's the how is this self-rated, or is this what they rate us as?
This is what they rate you as from information that you.
So this is their scoring system. So once
Yes.
from what we provide them, they will, and then will we? Do we ultimately see this? If we put in
ultimately,
application?
when you get, okay, they will publish the scoring mechanism after the round closes, and then when you are awarded a grant, right, you will see your score at that point. Violetta, you had a question?
Sorry. Yes, I thank you, Dennis. Do you know this tax clearance or tax whatever thingy?
Yes.
Does that have to be renewed every year? Do you know?
No.
No, once you get it, you get it.
It's a tax ID, right?
No, it's just I have never heard of it.
If you ring up revenue, they'll talk you through it.
Well,
yeah, absolutely, I will. It's just it's amazing how you don't actually. I'd be surprised, if we have 10% of pubs in Munster actually that have it. Thank you.
Well, maybe that's a starting point for that. Okay, register. Right? So, and just I know we have an attendee deck more. It is. I'm inviting you to join in. We're going to do it as a workshop because our numbers are smaller. So you feel free to join. I've clicked it there, but you don't have to. You can stay as an attendee if you wish. So just sorry. So I come back to that. Now, one of the things in this round is that you are required basically to say you comply with the Equal Status Act. So they're going to do this when they offer you a grant before they give it to you. Right? So it's it'll be something when they offer the grant, you will be then asked to complete a form. So number one criteria for that 60 points we spoke about there, and is what will be the impact on participation? How will it increase the number? Will people from a disadvantaged area or people with disability or minority groups benefit? Right? How will it in particular improve female participation? Have you very significant membership fees, or are they low? Are there facilities in the area already? So you only get 800 characters to say all this, which is not very much. So you have to think about a little bit about it and then state it. But remember, this is a sporting grant. It's about helping sport. So it's about helping your own members, but also are the people who mightn't be members who might also benefit. So telling your story and explaining. Now, I know in a lot of cases, badminton clubs don't have their own premises. So this mightn't be as relevant to you because you are actually, maybe only have a year-to-year use of a hall as opposed to having tenure. But if a badminton club has its own premises and it's on the capital
Sorry,
side, yeah.
Would you want to go back to the previous slide for one
No problem.
second?
You have a question?
On membership fees. Okay. Yeah, no, I missed the point about the membership fees,
Okay.
level of membership fees.
Yeah. No, that only applies. Look, it's a thing for if your fees are very high, you'll lose points on it, and they're just.
Right.
But won't apply in badminton. Sharing mightn't apply as much because very few clubs, I think, have their own premises. But if they do, and those facilities are shared with other users like schools, typically, then they can get a higher grant. One of the things, though, and here's an opportunity, perhaps in time for badminton clubs, is that if you're based at a school, the school can access money by partnering with you that it can't otherwise access. And that's up to 200 grand. So that's one of the incentives for schools to enter into license agreements with clubs, and therefore giving the club tenure in that school. That may be an area to explore for badminton in particular. Because this is about disadvantaged, you look at your club, you put in the postcode of your club into the Pobble Deprivation Index, you can see it here, and you then click on the 2016 by small area, and you will see by color coding what your deprivation index is. If it happens to be, in the blue area, but you're drawing members from other areas, you can make that argument. Or if it's in the dark orange area, well, then you're in a very disadvantaged area. So just because the club itself is in an affluent area doesn't mean it can't get a score on this if it's drawing its members from areas of disadvantage. Technical merits is about quotes. You don't have three, you only need one quote for each item, or maybe a professionally prepared estimate if it's a capital project. If you don't need planning, and someone signs Appendix 2 that you don't need planning, or you have planning, so if it needs planning, obviously equipment never needs planning, so that's an honor. So this is if the technical submission is good, you'll get good scoring. There is a second chance facility if you make an error in this, but you'll miss out on the bonus points. And we would say try and get it right first time. How much match funding you put in depends on your deprivation index score. Basically, if you're in a very deprived area, you get a maximum score under this criteria by putting 10% plus €1. Whereas if you're in a very affluent area, you'd have to put in 40% plus €1 to get a maximum score. But you don't necessarily, need to seek a maximum score, because of the 154 points last time round, there was only 6 points attached to match funding. So if you have enough points in the other criteria, you can trade your points a bit and just confine yourself to a 5% minimum. Now, match funding must either money in your bank account dated within 3 months of the application, or Appendix 1, which from a financial institution completed, or a mixture of both. There's a lot of score attaching to whether you've got money before. So if you've got no money in the last 10 years, you'll get 26 points on this. And I think it would be very difficult for any badminton club to be high up on this, because, based on the amount. So this is an area where badminton should have a pretty high score by club. This is a new criteria, environmental initiatives, and there isn't a lot of room even to put it in. And there's a huge amount of detail in the appendix, but I think it's about, making comments about, say, things you're either doing or plan to do, which will reduce the carbon footprint. Biodiversity wouldn't be quite a factor for a badminton facility, but something that reduces the carbon footprint that you're either already doing or want to do. And if you're in a high growth area, population growth area, they'll take that into account. So you'll draw attention to that in your response. So Appendix 1 is if you need your match funding to be way of a loan, it has to be, it's a loan offer in principle from a financial institution, typically Clan Credo or Community Finance Ireland or your local credit union. Typically speaking, the pillar banks have no interest in lending money to clubs anymore. Appendix 2 is if you don't require planning. Then an architect, an engineer, or a planning consultant, or the local authority says, for what you want to do, you don't require planning. Or if it does require planning, that you have the planning, which is also within the same area. License agreements, I think, may be less relevant, but they are, I think, a particular opportunity for badminton clubs going forward as an incentive for a school to give you a license agreement so the school can access significant capital. But you also have an opportunity on capital. This can apply to your school as long as your landlord won't throw you out in the next 5 years. So that's all it does. Then you can access up to 70 grand for capital purposes. So there are two options here that might be relevant in the case of a badminton club, based on someone else's premises. Now, if you do have your own premises, you evidence that you have title is under Appendix 5. 5A applies for just particularly to schools that are on Department of Education lands. So your matching finance, as I said, is either a loan offer or it's a bank account in the name of the club, date a statement dated within 3 months of the application. And obviously a quotation, one quote per item, or if it's a capital project, maybe a professional estimate from a QS. And these are Tricia's and David's details because they're the set of permanent members of the grants team. I've come off the bench to help with the demand at this time. And I'm going to stop the share now and I suppose open it out to any questions you may have at all, actually. But I think my general point from what I can see in badminton is the opportunity is enormous if more clubs would apply and start by applying for equipment for all the shuttlecocks you want for 2 years, for the poles, for the nets and the mats. Start there. You don't need Appendix 4, you don't need Appendix 5, you don't need permission from anybody. You just give them an address where you're going to store the equipment, which could be in your own house. So, questions?
Hi, Dennis.
Oh,
sorry.
go on, Margaret.
Sorry, Hinda. I'm just wondering, would you have stats for say probably 2018? Because I'm just thinking as well, the 2020, we were pretty much the last sport to come back because we were indoors during COVID. I don't think that probably reflects it. Would it be usually 10 each year or? I
can get that for you. I just picked the 2020, but I think they're still very low though, Margaret.
Okay.
But I can get it for you, yeah.
No, it'd be just great to see, is it across the board or was that just COVID? And then secondly, we hire just courts from Leinster Badminton. So our costs are really only shuttles. So that will that be just allowed as just shuttles alone? Because we can't claim for anything else.
No, they're equipment. That's non-personal sports equipment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So, Dennis, when you say, you seem to say for the shuttles element, you're saying it should be really straightforward, quick enough. By that, do you mean it should be once you've got your tax clearance number in, shouldn't take you long to go through the process and get your application in?
Correct.
Second thing on that is, so the date is the 26th of August, so that's next Friday.
Yep.
Is that for that application itself? So let's say for CADCA we're looking for shuttles. So that's just for logging your.
That's for making sure you have an Oscar registration. That's all.
So that's just to register.
Yes.
And then the following one, okay, so I think,
Eight-
is it then sometime in September? Is it the next?
8th of September, 5 p.m. Hard
8th
deadline.
September, 5 p.m. Okay, so then my second point is more so less for, say, Kaika. So I'm also part of the Leinster branch, right?
Yes.
And as part of that, we are looking at that element of, say, poles and nets and all that kind of stuff as well. So so again, that should be straightforward enough, right? To get that stuff. It's more so, is it harder, say, if we're looking at getting solar panels and things like that? Is that the trickier part?
Well, firstly, if you're a regional body, I was, and we've done these before for people, presented like you're getting a starter kit for clubs, or a pack that, like, so why are you applying rather than the club applying? So just put your rationale in that, and that's something we did with, say, cricket when they first got into this. For solar panels, like, obviously, does that mean you have a premises in which you have title for?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have a premise which you title for, well, then obviously you can do things to reduce energy consumption, i.e. the carbon footprint.
Yeah, because we were talking about it the other night. There's a number of things whereby we're looking at, like, say, we've already put in LED lights, but what we don't have a smart way of putting them on so that, like, they're on for the whole hall instead of being on, like, and the hall, say, is 8 courts long.
No, perfect.
But only 2 people might be in the hall, so you might, like, but the whole hall is on instead of having just 2 courts on.
That absolutely fits within that is going to reduce the carbon footprint, is it not? So that's energy management.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they're my main points. Yeah. Sorry, I know Violetta's looking to
Yeah,
ask.
no, it's not at all. It's just, I'm sorry, like a dog with a bone, is that I'm just worried that we won't get a chance to get the tax clearance. You don't know how long does it take to actually get it.
I think you get it on the day. I think actually, because I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think they literally give it to you over the phone when you're talking to them.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's fine. So we'll be able to do it so before the 5th or whatever in September. Thanks.
No, before the 25th.
Oh, even
August.
Better. Okay.
Monday morning, Valletta.
Oh, no, I'll register now if I can. I'm assuming there's a link somewhere in the email, but it's just to complete the application,
Well, to register, you need to get a tax ID. You get that from revenue. So you will have
to even register, you need a tax ID.
Yes, that is the key thing.
Okay.
So what information will they need for the tax ID?
So let me just, nothing like.
First thing Monday morning, they'll be hearing from us.
So.
What time are you going to ring out? I want to get on before, yeah?
Maybe they'll do 2 for the price of 1.
Oh, let's see. That's going. I'm just going to throw this up. I'm going to register at Sports Club. I'm going to get the tax. A moment here. I'm just going to. Okay, here we go. So, sports bodies tax exemption. See this? Okay. Valletta, can you see this?
Yes, I can see it, and yeah, sure, I get
Okay.
to it on that phone.
How to apply. Okay.
Do we need to prove? I suppose you can just have
Register
a.
for tax. Go on here. You just follow this. Click in. What is the tax register? How to register. Right. Follow this down. They're very helpful. Okay. So, because this is what you're doing. You're getting sports bodies tax exemption. But you must then you must first register and then you click here and so on. So I will put where now here. Copy. Up share. Put into chat. Okay. It's in the chat there. Okay. Monday morning. Right. And they're quite helpful. Okay.
I can't see it in the chat. I'm sorry. Am I looking the wrong way?
Do you see the chat there?
Yeah,
Webinar
I
chat.
got it.
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
it's question and answers. Maybe I'll look at
No,
wrong
no,
thing.
no. It's
No,
in
the
chat.
chat button.
Chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
But yes, register first. Get the tax ID. Then so get a tax ID from revenue.
Yeah.
Then register on Oscar. Then make your application.
Yeah. Will do.
And I suppose I think there is a huge opportunity for badminton because the numbers of those applying is very small.
Yeah, and we really need it. At least our club, we've been struggling.
So start there. I think a broader thing for badminton would be where you're based on someone else's premises, particularly schools. You're a path for that school to get access to very significant capital.
We are based in a JA club. Does that matter? They seem to be awash with money.
No, but for instance, you can become you can provide the GA club with an opportunity to get a good score for sharing their facilities with you.
Yes, but if you need to have an agreement in place before you apply, a 5-year agreement.
No. This is on their side. They have an incentive to do a deal with you.
But does that deal needs to be done before the application?
No. I'm saying that you can apply for our equipment. You don't need any agreement for that. I'm saying that if you are based on someone else's premises,
Yeah.
they get points for having deals done with you.
Okay. So if we are part of, say, we don't have our own hall, so we play in the JA club in Bishopstown. So can they apply for like LED lights or whatever, or do we apply on their behalf?
No. Yeah, they can apply for capital if they have a deal done.
I see.
What I'm
Okay,
saying is
I get it now. Sorry.
there's an incentive for them
Yeah.
to do deals with you.
Okay.
Because they're sharing their facilities and they get points for sharing. We're doing a lot of work with GA clubs and we tell them, if you're sharing with other sports or other users in the same sport, you get more points for the score.
So do I need to kind of see if they want?
Claire. So is there a phone we can ring? Okay. Claire must be in just a second. Let me go over here to participant. Up there, attend. All right, second here. Claire is joining. Claire, you have some questions.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry, I joined a wee bit late, but I missed a good bit of, but I was listening the last time. But so just say if I have the slides from the last time, but say if we didn't get a chance to look at them yet, but is there somewhere like like yourself, we could give a ring maybe on Monday for having any problems with anything?
Yes, so you'll see you'll get the slide deck, right, and the recording, and at the end of it, there's also contact information, people who you can contact.
That's great, thank you. It's at the end of the slides. That's
Yes.
grand. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dennis,
Yeah.
if we go back to the points situation,
Yes.
on the form there, or in the slide there, you had the max. Is there a target that you're trying to get to with that? Like, as in,
so okay, I
because I know it was just interesting when you said the 0 to 6 for
match funding.
You'll fund yourselves, because like there's a big difference from 10 to 50 or was it 40%?
There is.
So I'm just wondering, because like you'd nearly, if you've got enough points with other things, you'd forget, or you'd get rid. You wouldn't go for the.
Correct. Exactly.
But then what's your target, like, or is there a target number that you'd be looking for?
Okay, so I'll in previous
rounds, that finger in the air.
Okay, if you get north of 100, you have a very good score.
Okay.
Now, how they give out money? They seek to give out money roughly in proportion to the population in each county, but they struggle to give out the money in Dublin.
In what respect?
That because there are more applicants per person outside of Dublin than in Dublin.
Okay.
And therefore,
so you got a better chance in Dublin then, do you?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
The second point is obviously there's a different pot of money for regional and local. Right? So
is Dublin all going to be considered?
No. Local is whether you're a club or considered, a national governing body, and so on. So it's who you are as an entity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, so we would always think that if we can see a predictive score for an applicant, that we're working at over 100, that's a decent score.
Yeah.
Now, in some rounds, they used to be very severe and try to, and they've now they don't want people to be invalid. They want to help people to avoid invalidity. And in one round, they still say, but you have to be in the top 75% scores and not in the bottom quartile in your county to get any money. But then the following round, they decided not to do that and to give every valid application some money, but they didn't have a big enough pot. And then the next round, the 2020 round, they gave every valid application money, but they gave more money to the ones where the project had more merit. Now, in this round, we hear that they've set aside 180 million, which is more than they've ever set aside. So,
it's good chances then.
Yeah,
of getting something.
Oh yes, no, not just of getting something. There's a good chance of getting, a decent proportion of what you asked for.
Yeah, yeah. And what's is it a case of, so when you put in your application, do they come back with questions, or is it just
no?
It's just they rate you, and
yes.
then what's the time frame? So if we hand it in by the end of, or whenever the date is in September,
8th of September.
8th of September, sorry, yeah.
They're indicating 5 p.m. on the 8th of September, by the way.
5 p.m. on the 8th. What's the time frame to hear back?
They are going to treat the equipment ones separately, and they are indicating they might get the answers to those before Christmas.
And equipment shuttles would be under equipment.
Yes. And for capital ones, they're saying it could take a year, but the politicians are saying that the announcements need to be out in May 2024, before the local elections.
And if and when we're accepted, when would you receive the funds?
So they make a provisional offer, and then you have to go through certain. You've got to get 3 quotes and the various. So there's a bit of bureaucracy after the provisional offer before they make a formal offer. Only when you make a formal offer, you can go spend the money, and then you claim it back after you've spent it. But they're pretty speedy at paying it back to you after you spend it, if your paperwork is good.
But that could be in 2024. Like as in
No. Yeah, look, you get a provisional offer in May 24. If you're quick on your paperwork, your provisional offer will be formal within a month.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
You then go spend the money, and then you claim it back. And as you make each claim, they'll pay it back in about 10 days.
Cool. Okay.
But there is a bit of paperwork after you get the provisional offer. And if you're just on top of it, it's fine.
Yeah. Get you.
So, any other questions?
Yeah, Dennis, just a question on you were saying there about 3 like suppliers and all you have to get. So if we need to get 3 like invoices, no?
No, for the purposes of an application, you need 1 quote.
Okay, 1 quote, but then obviously when you get approved and everything like that, do you need the 3?
Yes.
Okay, so we need the 3 then. Is this something
not till May 2024? So or January. So that's I'd worry about that then. I'd worry now about making an application with 1 quote.
I'm just thinking because there's not many suppliers out there with shuttles as well.
You can just take a screen grab of a website.
Yeah, you can ask. You could ask around. Even if you ask around, you can find ones in all over. There's ones in Cork, and you can get them from Britain or Germany, and
there's plenty of websites.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you can even just do a screenshot on that.
Screen grab of a website. That's fine.
Perfect.
When you're saying about equipment, would paint come under equipment? And you're chatting about the lights. Is that under equipment? That's not under the capital.
Oh, that's maintenance. It's an item of maintenance. That is not non-personal sports equipment. That's a maintenance thing.
So is that under the capital bit?
No, that's routine maintenance. They don't allow that.
Right. And what about a shuttle fire equipment piece?
What's that?
It's like you put the shuttles in, it fires out the shuttles.
A shuttle feeder.
Definitely. That's non-personal sports equipment. Yeah.
So that would be under equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. Very good.
What about
feeder is such a good idea.
I know there was trouble before. Some clubs were having issues with getting 3 quotes for shuttle feeders.
No, okay. Take the quote separately. You can get the grant offer. Let's not worry about the problem of January 24. Let's worry about the problem of September 23.
Yeah. But I know that they had got a formal offer and then they struggled to get the 3 quotes for a shuttle feeder. So I'm not sure. I do know a club.
In some cases,
I do know a club that did get it and they did get their hands on a shuttle feeder, but I'm not sure how it works if they can't get the 3 quotes. That's all.
In that instance, Conor, I think the national governing body needs to make representations directly to the sports capital unit.
That's fair enough.
Okay, and they will be flexible in those circumstances.
What about a storage for equipment or for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if it's now, they've made one important change this time on storage, which I'm going to read out to you. Okay. So let me just get it for you here. Give me one moment. Portable storage containers / sheds of up to 25 meters squared, that's pretty big, are considered equipment.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
25 meters squared, is that what you said there, Dennis?
Yeah.
Did you have the right size of a gym?
Yeah.
We'd nearly get another court in one of those.
I was thinking the same. Yeah, you get a
Yeah.
quart or two in there.
So, just conscious of time. Any other questions, guys?
Can I just ask, say if it was a local school, you know, the way you're saying they get points now for renting, or doing a deal with us or whatever. Can two badminton clubs maybe help out a local school, or is it only
Yeah.
one?
No, let's distinguish. A sports club like the GA can get points for sharing their facilities with a badminton club. A school gets access to money by sharing with a badminton club. Completely different. Schools cannot apply on their own for sports capital money at all. They can only apply if they're into a 15-year license agreement with a sport. And then they can access up to 200 grand.
Can it be more than one badminton club?
Absolutely.
For this?
Yeah, that
So-
would be a license agreement between the school and two entities. Yes.
Does it
So
have to
that
be a,
is-
sorry,
would that increase then the amount of money they're able to get? Two, or would it just stay the same?
No, it still be 200 grand. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry?
thank you.
can I just ask, if it's not a school but like a college, does the same thing apply?
So give me the example. When you say a college, what do you mean?
Well, like, you know, MTU say, or
Yes. So same thing applies. It's an education institution. They can only access the money if they have a license agreement with a sports body.
okay. Up to 200,000.
Well, actually, depending on the nature of it, they might be able to argue that it's a regional facility. If, say, Badminton Ireland would say, well, that's a regional facility, and they could access 500,000.
Would they have to put in an application then?
Yes, they have to be the applicant.
Okay. No, it's just MTU just built a brand new sports arena, so I'm racking my brains to think what can they apply for. But anyway, it's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So look, what I suppose you'll get a copy of the recording and the slides. I suppose I think the sense I think of, I suppose, would encourage, you know, Badminton Ireland that, you know, the time to start preparing for the next sports capital round is the day after you make submissions on this one. Right? And there may be an opportunity there for broadening that education about registering. Just to start with equipment, get everyone to buy equipment. Every basketball, every badminton club, everyone should be buying its shuttlecocks with sports capital grant money.
Yeah, I think it's something around all grants, Dennis, with us, not just sports capital, where we just
Yes.
don't apply enough. And whenever we do, we always seem to be successful.
Yeah.
But it's you know, we're very good on gender diversity and disability inclusion, and being quite an accessible sport. But yeah, we're just not good at applying for grants, unfortunately.
So, well, that's an opportunity, right? So I think, look, thank you for joining on a Friday night.
Thanks very much.
And
very good, very informative.
And good luck with your application.
Thank you, and we'll get the slides. Thanks.
You will.
Yeah.
Thanks so much,
very
everyone.
much, Dennis.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.